For today's video, I wanted to list my most anticipated VR games still to come in 2025, starting with Gunman Contracts. This is a fully standalone version of the mods that you can play in Half-Life Alyx called Gunman Contracts Chapters 1 and 2, but this is now being taken to the next level and being built from the ground up for PCVR and flat screen. You play a professional hitman, simply known as the Gunman. You have a large arsenal of weapons at your disposal, featuring pistols, rifles, shotguns and knives, and even a bow to take down the ruthless criminals in some of the most aggressive and immersive ways possible yet seen in VR. If the mods are anything to go by, you can expect every kill to feel extremely satisfying with some great death animations and real bullet physics. After going hands-on with Aces of Thunder in early access last month, I'm very excited to check out the full release whenever it happens, because it was a way more realistic flight sim than I expected, but I actually really like the challenge. Aces of Thunder will have a single player campaign and multiplayer. Hopefully we'll get cross-platform support, which will bring more players to fill the skies online, making it something extremely competitive and compelling. Aces of Thunder will launch with 50 maps from 3 key theatres from the Second World War, based on the Western and Eastern Pacific fronts, and will have 20 faithfully recreated aircraft. Unfortunately, we still have no release date for the PSVR2 and PCVR version, but I'm hoping we hear something soon, especially after they let me and other creators go hands-on in early access. Forefront is aiming to bring us a true VR Battlefield experience by dropping you into a near-future warfare playground with 32 players across expansive battlefields. Players can get in multiple land, air and sea vehicles and fight on large-scale maps with dynamic and game-changing destruction. There's going to be a ton of new weapons, vehicles, gadgets and player classes, and Triangle Factory is aiming to raise the bar for immersive gunplay and tactical depth in VR. This is coming from the same team that made Hyperdash and Breaches, and is already looking a high quality VR experience, and it's coming to MetaQuest 2, 3, Pico and Steam VR by the end of 2025. Next up, we have another great looking VR flying game called the Mighty 8th VR, which puts you in the cockpit of a B-17 flying fortress at the height of a strategic bombing campaign over Europe. And the most exciting part of this game is you get to play it online in co-op with up to 9 other people. And if you can't get that many players with you, you'll have AI to assist you. There's no release date right now, but I've been following the publisher's microprose over on X, and it does look extremely good, and hopefully we'll hear something soon. Remnant Protocol is a meta-funded VR space sim, and it's coming later this year to MetaQuest but also Steam. In Remnant Protocol, you'll be part of a rebel alliance called the eponymous Remnant, and you have to take down the oppressive empire, and only you can stop them. You'll be in the cockpit engaging in dogfights between missions of the campaign that have some strategy elements. You'll be doing research, planning, manufacturing, gathering intelligence, recruiting pilots, forging alliances to then set off as a group to take on the next mission. The developers have said this will be a living, breathing universe filled with shifting alliances, and it will have procedurally generated missions combined with a dynamic story. So far, this sounds pretty cool. Beyond Sandbox has been growing in popularity due to showing some pretty advanced VR physical interactions with some beautiful graphics, and it's coming to PCVR and MetaQuest, and it's powered by Unreal Engine 5. It offers a playground for both players and creators to redefine virtual reality experiences, and I think you'll agree when you see some of the incredible interactions and realistic looking weapons and melee combat. It looks like something especially the Boneworks crowd will really enjoy. The procedural grip system they're adding does look pretty mind-blowing, and it'll also feature multiplayer when you can either compete or collaborate using in-game tools. Next, we have Memoreum from Patient 8 Games, and it's coming to PCVR and MetaQuest. I went hands-on in a very early state for a gameplay video, and it played extremely well and delivered that Dead Space horror vibes a lot of us want to experience in VR. Memoreum has been built from the ground up by the same team that made the Half-Life Alyx Return to Rapture mod. The story of Memoreum begins at the end of a dying Earth. Humanity sends a colony spaceship, the UCT Century Dawn, on a mission to find a new home. You fast forward nearly 200 years and you are suddenly awoken from hypersleep to discover something has gone horribly wrong, and an infection known as I-Core has spread throughout the ship. The I-Core infection, as you can see from this trailer, causes some Dead Space-like creatures to emerge. You can expect a 10-hour long campaign with multiple endings, and as I said, from what I've played, I've got no doubts this game will deliver. Next we have Robo, and it's a VR port coming from Flatout VR Studios. It's a fast-paced first-person shooter with roguelike mechanics, and it's playable in single-player or two-player co-op. You must run and gun your way through randomly generated environments, pick up upgrades along the way, and blast away the big powerful bosses you encounter. You get to upgrade your base camp and unlock persistent upgrades to customize your playstyle, and therefore therefore get to dive further in on each subsequent run. The cel-shaded graphics look really awesome in VR, and I'm hoping by looking at this trailer we haven't got long to wait for a release date. The next game on this list I've never actually spoken about, and that's because I've only played it recently, called Of Lies and Rain VR, and after checking it out, it's looking pretty promising. It's coming to all platforms in the future and looks to deliver a cool narrative first-person shooter, and has taken a lot of inspiration from games like Half-Life Alyx. The graphics were surprisingly good and the weapons felt really good too, but it was actually the in-game physics which made this game much more cooler and immersive than I expected. Star Wars Beyond Victory is coming to MetaQuest 3 and MetaQuest 3S, and it's called a mixed reality playset, but will also have some very cool VR implementation. It's set around the time of Solo: A Star Wars Story, and it seems to be mostly about pod racing. There's an adventure story mode which uses a combination of VR and MR, and you follow a character called Volo, an aspiring pod racer whose life gets flipped upside down under the mentorship of Sebulba. You can also experience the thrill of pod racing on a virtual holo table. Regarding the playset feature, it looks like you'll be unlocking items as you play, and then you get to create a mixed reality room and fill it with your Star Wars virtual action figures and vehicles. So far, I'm pretty hyped about this one. Dungeons of Eternity, which is an awesome co-op dungeon crawler, is coming to PCVR this summer, and looks like a very impressive visual upgrade over the Quest 3 version, which is actually no slouch. In Dungeons of Eternity, you get to team up with up to 3 friends and take on never-ending procedurally generated worlds and challenges, filled with a variety of enemies to level up and unlock a seemingly endless amount of weapons to make your character stronger and your next run even greater. After Flatout VR's excellently received Trombone Champ, we have Flatout VR, and it's coming to all platforms, including Quest 2, which is no small accomplishment if they can actually pull this off. Flatout was one of my favourite driving games, which I think was originally on the Xbox 360, but this Flatout looks more closer to Flatout Ultimate. It's looking incredible, and PSVR2 and Quest owners are really thirsty for some good driving games. So let's hope they nail the Flatout experience with this one, and we get wheel support for PSVR2 and PCVR. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is getting its first official VR game called Empire City, and it's coming to MetaQuest and Steam at some point in 2026. And while the trailer didn't show any gameplay, we do have some in-game screenshots. In Empire City, you take to the streets as any of the 4 mean green heroes in single player or 4-player co-op, and the game is based after the demise of Shredder, and you must take on what is left of the Foot Clan and retake the streets of New York. It's being developed by Cortopia Studios, who most recently brought us the fantastic Gorn 2, so all in all, this does sound pretty promising. World War DayZ is coming to VR on Steam and MetaQuest, and it looks to be a port of Saber Interactive's flat screen game, but unfortunately the multiplayer that is part of the flat screen game won't be coming across to the VR version, and instead will focus on a single player campaign. One of the most interesting quotes from the press release is being able to take on up to 200 zombies on screen at once, which is pretty impressive, especially if they pull it off for the Quest version. There will be 7 characters to choose from, each with different abilities and weapons with varying levels of difficulty. It's coming on August 12th for $20, and after the developer's last game, Mud Runner, which I personally really enjoyed, I'm actually really looking forward to checking this one out.
Let's show them who's boss!
Another new VR game is coming from the creators of Budget Cuts called Crossings, and it's coming to Quest and PCVR at some point in the future. You must block, dodge and strike down your enemies in this action-adventure roguelike through an ever-changing landscape of Old Norse myth. You claim mighty spells and new weapons as you make your way through each run, learning from your past errors. You will encounter and join fellow travellers and enter the world with your chosen compatriots in seamless co-op as you push forward to seek vengeance. There is a Steam demo coming soon, and I'll be checking it out to let you know if it's something we should be looking forward to, and I've no doubt it will eventually make its way to PSVR2 after they originally ported Budget Cuts to PSVR2 last year. Next, we have a game called Deadly Delivery, and states itself to be a comedic VR co-op horror experience, and it looks somewhat similar in gameplay style to something like Lethal Company. You and 3 others have the task of delivering dangerous shipping containers in some very difficult and deadly locations in an effort to pay off your goblin-like student loans. The levels are procedurally generated and feature some strange equipment and weapons. All in all, this does sound pretty good.
Oh, there's a jump. Oh. Shoot. God damn. Okay, I'm going down a level. I'll update you guys. Over.
How?
Melee?
What?
Melee with me, what?
Melee?
Over.
There's another new game called Syberia VR, and it's coming to Quest 3 and is a remake of a click-and-point adventure that was originally released back in 2002. The story follows an American lawyer who's tasked with overseeing a major company's sale following the owner's death, only to learn the brother's owner is still alive. Little else is known, but it's coming later this year to Quest and will release at the same time as the flat screen remaster. Next up we have Slenderman The Arrival VR, and it's coming to Steam and PSVR2 at some point in 2025. It was unfortunately delayed from its original release of September 2024, but I'm always a fan of games getting delayed because right now what we need is games that truly deliver what the developers want players to experience. I've never played a Slenderman game, but it looks and sounds like a perfect fit for VR horror fans. Reach sees players embody a reluctant hero thrown into a perilous journey to uncover the secrets of an underground civilization, featuring true-to-life full-body awareness and presence, deeply tactile interactions powered by advanced physics and intuitive gesture-driven traversal. Reach is aiming to set new standards for VR immersion. Players must fight past mythical threats, master versatile tools, and forge a path through the dynamic world where every action directly impacts the adventure. Overall, I think this sounds absolutely brilliant, and I can't wait to check it out at some point this year. The newest installment in the Thief series is coming exclusively to VR at some point in 2025 to all VR platforms, and is being made by a truly awesome combo of developers being Vertigo Games and Maze Theory. In Thief VR, you are known as Magpie, a cunning thief orphaned by Baron Northcrest, and you've been shaped by the streets. You must use VR mechanics to steal, evade, and outsmart the city's forces to find a relic in the Northrest's vault, and there you will uncover a far greater artifact with a powerful legacy. Now personally, I'm very excited to check this one out, and I can't wait to dive back into the Thief series all over again.
This city hides many lost and legendary treasures, locked away, waiting to be found, waiting to be taken. But some treasures come with more trouble than others.
Next up, we see enhanced games return to VR with Lumines Arise, which is again coming to all VR platforms at some point in 2025. Lumines was one of my favourite puzzle games on the PSP, and knowing what a masterful job they did with Tetris Effect for VR, I have nothing but high expectations for this one. You will journey through 30 stages of sensory wonderlands ranging from lush jungles to the buzzing streets of Tokyo. This version of Lumines will also feature a new burst mechanic, single player mode, multiplayer modes and challenges.
Running through our veins, heartbeat, love is making waves.
Handcrafted with cuddles by the Merc with a MetaQuest. Kick back and bask in the glory of gaming's first quintuple A tropical farming sim experience.
Next up, we have Marvel's Deadpool VR, coming exclusively to MetaQuest 3 and MetaQuest 3S. Courtesy of Twisted Pixel, the story sees you contacted by Mojo with the promise of making money, and you must set out to capture villains from the Marvel Universe. It's stated to be a mixture of melee combat with fast-paced and uncompromising traversal, and you can even use your own limbs to attack the enemy. Obviously, this sounds absolutely mental, as you would expect from something with the name Deadpool.
This guy is a total dick. What the hell? Who designed this shit? I wiped my ass on this first. You're welcome. Who got the lobotomy with fries? All your dreams of being inside me come true in VR. Spider-Man gets Insomniac, and I get this shit? I'm craving Korean barbecue now. Is that weird? Whoa!
Next up, we have a new installment in the Demeo series from Resolution Games, styled in Dungeons & Dragons, called Battlemarked, and it's coming to all VR platforms in Q4 of 2025. You must assemble a party of fellow adventurers and embark on a new epic adventure in the Forgotten Realms, where ancient rivalries, shadowy conspiracies, and the lure of dark power threaten to tear Faerun apart. Battlemarked will be using the same brilliant action roleplay system from Demeo, where you can link up with up to 4 players in cooperative multiplayer, or you can go on an adventure entirely on your own. It promises dynamic turn-based combat and traits from iconic Dungeons & Dragons classes. This is one I'm definitely looking forward to playing.
Only those battle-marked and bound by fate can defy the chaos that threatens to consume all.
Grit and Valor 1949, which is a port of the flat version which seems to be already available, but the VR version is coming this year on August 21st. So let's get into some details. Grit and Valor 1949 is a real-time tactics roguelike set in an alternative history World War II. The evil Axis forces dominate and Europe is on its knees, and only you stand as humanity's final hope. You become the commander of an elite mech squadron and you must take part in thrilling battles, and you need to think fast, take a stand, and get ready to liberate Europe and free the world. Now I'm going to assume that the VR version will also come to Steam, and I'm not sure if there's a MetaQuest version, but on PSVR2 at least, this game will have headset rumble, and the devs said they plan to utilise the power of PlayStation VR2 to deliver a visually stunning and immersive experience. Then we have Metorea, which is a debut title from a new developer called Big Boot Games, which can be played in VR or on a flat screen. In Metorea, you control a meteor blazing through the vast cosmos, navigating treacherous celestial terrain to ensure your survival. Precision and quick reflexes are your greatest allies as you steer past dynamic hazards and colossal astral obstacles on the journey to each level's end, and there is 50 levels to conquer. Dreams of Another is a game we've spoken about on the channel before, but now we have some PSVR2 gameplay which features the unique first-person mode which is only available in VR. And Dreams of Another is all about destruction through creativity. Shooting in this game materialises and creates from an otherwise abstract, fragmented world. The game's standout feature is its use of point cloud rendering, where space is visualised as a collection of floating particles. On PSVR2, this technique truly shines, enveloping the player in a dreamlike world where your body feels as if it's dissolving into the environment. The result is a mysterious, deeply immersive sensation, and it's like travelling through a dream. And thanks to VR, players can now feel that they physically exist within these worlds made up of nothing but particles. I gotta say, this is one of those games that I'm not too sure on, but it does actually sound pretty cool. Hotel Infinity from the beginning is coming at some point in 2025 and has been designed to be a revolutionary room scale experience with puzzle elements. The game's clever use of portals, lifts, and impossibly winding hallways will make players feel like they've been walking through a hotel for hours when they've actually never left their 2 meter by 2 meter play space. Now, some of you may not have experienced a room scale game in VR before, but I have on Quest with a game called T for God, and this was a very basic looking game, but it's an incredible experience to have an endless world in VR while never leaving your play space. On PSVR2 you will get headset feedback and PSVR2 controller haptics, and it can be played either seated or standing. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Please let me and others know what VR games you're looking forward to most down in the comment section. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.